Am I the a-hole for not paying college money for my daughter, which I found out wasn't mine? My ex cheated on me and made me believe for 9 years that my daughter was mine. When I found out, I filed for divorce but still had to pay child support. I felt bad for my daughter, so I gave my wife the money I had for her college fund. But the minute I did, my ex-wife refused to let me see her. Eventually, I got remarried and have a son and another daughter. My ex got in contact with me through social media and asked for her college fund. When I told her I already gave it to her for my daughter, she confessed that she spent it on gambling and lost it all. My daughter had no money for college and could only go with debt. She asked for more money, but I said no, since I already gave it, and the only other fund I had now was for my son and other daughter. And I wasn't going to give her that fund. My ex told my daughter a twisted version of the event, and now she's mad at me and calling me an a-hole and playing favorites. My ex-wife is joining in as well. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Provide your daughter with your bank statements from 9-ish years ago showing you gave her mother her college fund. If you have your ex's comments regarding the college fund in social media comments, also provide that to your daughter. If you want, you can show her that you paid for her child support as well every single month. You fulfilled your legal duty, child support, to your daughter regardless of her biological connection to you. Not an a-hole. I do have screenshots of her remarks. My daughter does know I paid her child support. She just thinks I should pay for her college again because of her mother. Not an a-hole. It does suck that your daughter got saddled with a crappy mom. But you've done your part, and you provided for her thus far. Now it would be unfair to your other kids. To ask for their fund is entitled and rude. She needs to grow up and blame the real villain here, her mother. Info. You said your ex denied you contact even though you were paying child support. If you're paying child support, you are entitled to a custody hearing. Have you not seen your daughter this whole time? You're not a hole about the college fund, but I'm curious why you can't just explain to your daughter what happened. I have, and she doesn't believe me since I haven't seen her. Show her the message exchanged with her mom. You just walked away from her after 9 years? His wife did not let him meet her. He was legally her father. He had rights. If this story is true, which is doubtful, then when mom said no, Opie said, "Oh, okay, cool," and abandoned his daughter for 9 years. That's not normal. He was most likely on the birth certificate as her father. Once he found out his daughter was not his, because his name is on the birth certificate, he still needs to pay child support for her, regardless of whether she's biologically his or not. But he most likely had no grounds to fight for custody because he is not her biological father. So yes, the mother can refuse visitation while he is still paying child support. The system is completely flawed. Not an a-hole. The one your daughter should be getting angry at is your ex-wife. If she had any concern about her, she would go gambling around. You don't owe them crap. Let them take loans or whatever. You have done your part. Let your daughter see some proof. Though I don't know how she's ready to believe someone who lied for 9 years and not you. Still, you leaving her after learning she wasn't yours is a trash behavior. 'Cause real or not, as a parent, you loved her for 9 years. You were the father figure for her. Can't imagine how sad she must have been. Probably even blamed herself for everything. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my son to stay the night at his grandparents' house? A little backstory. I am a single mother to a 2-year-old boy. We'll call him Gavin. Gavin's father, Ted, and I are not together. I have sole physical custody, and his father has supervised visitation once a week. Ted was never involved in my pregnancy at all, and is not very involved in our son's life either. Ted's mother, Rose, however, is very involved. Rose can be overwhelming, but I try to brush it off as I know she just does it out of love for her grandchild. I'll admit I'm a bit overprotective and hyper-independent, as I don't trust many people to be alone with my son. When Gavin was first born, I had a rule, like many other parents, that I did not allow anyone to kiss my child until he was a year old. I was afraid of him contracting any viruses that could significantly harm him as an infant. This fear came true when he got RSV at 9 months and spent 4 days in the hospital in oxygen. Anyway, Rose always tried to sneak kisses when I wasn't looking. I one time caught it on the baby monitor and I was furious. This was only the beginning of her having zero respect for my rules as a parent. The most recent time was when she came to my house to see Gavin. Gavin wanted to go play outside, but I had said no and that it was time to get ready for dinner. I told him we could play outside after we eat. Rose picked him up and he said, outside. I repeated what I had said, and she responded, oh, we'll just go out for a minute. I asked her to not do that because, knowing how my son is, I knew that he would inevitably be more upset when they came back in, and he wouldn't want to eat his dinner. Rose started to walk toward the door with Gavin, and I said, loudly and firmly, Rose, I said no. She continued to take him outside for a couple minutes and came back in. And what happened at dinner? He screamed about going outside and wouldn't eat. I was annoyed that she had not only undermined my parental authority, and showed my son that what mom says doesn't matter. She begs me to let him stay the night at her house, 1 hour away. I don't trust that she would follow my rules for him, and I'm truly not comfortable with him being an hour away from me overnight. She says it's time, and I say it's time when I say it's time. It's not that I don't like her, it's that I don't trust her. So am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. I'd go a lot farther and actively ban her from spending time with your son until she respects your parenting decisions. Even if you depend on her for babysitting. It's only going to get worse if you let it slide now. Also, I would be a lot more transparent about why you don't want him to spend the night. It's time for me to take him overnight. I'm sorry, but it will be time for you to take him overnight when you can respect me as a parent and accept my decisions. Until I am fully convinced I can trust you to uphold my rules and not undermine my authority, you will not be spending that much time with him. Or just no. Especially after consulting a lawyer about the visitation order, making sure mom has full legal control over the issue, including with grandparents. And I wouldn't let her have even 1 hour with him alone at this point. Find a different babysitter, etc. So the woman that raised the guy that is not in your son's life and has supervised visitation and does not listen to or support your parenting decisions want to have your kid for overnight visits. Yeah, not today, Hall. I'm surprised you still allow visits at all. Not today, Hall. Her undermining your parenting that directly, in my opinion, means low contact or no contact. She is outright not listening to you, and any boundaries you set that even concern your child's health. She outright didn't listen to you when you were right there. Imagine being at her place an hour away from you. She isn't Gavin's parent. You are. And obviously understand Gavin better than she does. I wouldn't trust her. And I would reiterate that you don't appreciate her walking all over your boundaries as Gavin's mother, and therefore she will have limited contact with Gavin. If she doesn't like it, then she needs to start listening to you. But honestly, I highly doubt that, and she may become petty. Good luck, Opie. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my father to stop telling my niece to call him daddy? My sister had her baby a few months ago. It's been a bit tiring as normally because she's basically a newborn. My niece's father isn't exactly the best one, nor he has been that nice to my sister about everything, but he's still her father. My family, including me, don't really like him. However, my siblings and I hope that he will step up for the sake of his own daughter and my sister. Besides, we know it's not our place to decide anything for that matter. Our family lives under the same roof. My parents think differently. They want him completely out of the picture and basically hate him. They are rude towards him and will constantly belittle him. My father is an extremely impulsive and jealous person. I would even say he has anger issues. Because he doesn't like this man, he has taken every opportunity he has to rub it in my sister's face that he hasn't exactly done too much for his daughter. I constantly try to deter the conversation to avoid getting my sister upset, as she's breastfeeding and is very much tired. Ever since my niece was born, he would constantly tell her to call him daddy. We know she's still too young, but if this is the case now, I can't imagine how much worse it'll get when she starts babbling and talking. Every time he talks to her, he refers to himself as daddy, and it's annoying. My sister hates it and has told him, but he refuses to listen. Well, today he did the same thing, and repeated it so many times that I snapped and told him that he should stop, and that he is her grandfather, not her dad. Not daddy, just grandfather. He got mad and told us that he doesn't see any other father present, and that he deserves the title much more than that piece of turd of a man. I told him to stop, and he just walked away angry and telling us off. My mother didn't say anything and hasn't corrected him ever, but told us to stop being so rude. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Ew. It's gross to want to be daddy when your daughter is mommy. Blah. Boundaries are needed ASAP. Good for you. I also thought it was extremely weird. I think it might also be some type of power move on his behalf to assert his control over everyone at the house. Dad, if the baby starts calling you daddy, strangers are going to think that you impregnated your daughter. Is that what you want? For everyone to think you're some deviant? Then, if he continues to do it, I'd make exaggerated gagging noises each time. Make it super uncomfortable for him. Not today, Hall. It is extremely weird and potentially harming to your niece. Imagine her actually growing up calling your sister mommy and your father daddy, and then having to reverse everything when she's older. It's weird. Not today, Hall. Maybe you and your sister need to look for a place to live that doesn't involve living with your parents. Speaking of, does your sister know her dad is doing this? We've talked about it, and we hope that it can be done soon enough. We're still deep in debt for our universities. Unfortunately, there are no student loans where I live. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for saying I won't recommend my nephew's mom for a job? So long story short, when I, 28 female, was in high school, I was tormented by this girl Amy, 28 female. Amy treated me like crap in freshman year, to the point she was kicked out of school. It didn't help because we were on the same softball and basketball team. And she treated me like crap there too, until I quit because I couldn't deal and they wouldn't kick her off the team. She then followed me into my teaching extracurricular, which ruined that for me too. It didn't truly end until I had nothing left. Fast forward to 2015, and my brother announces he had a one-night stand and was expecting a baby. And who was the mother in question? Amy. My brother apologized so many times to me, and eventually I forgave him, but it did affect our relationship. He brought her of all people back into my life. She acted like nothing had happened at first, and then when she was telling us all about wanting us super involved, she started cracking jokes about this girl she knew in high school, who was so weird and geeky and tried to get in on the sports stuff when she had no place in it. That was me. I was the girl she was cracking jokes about. She was called out on it, and she acted like she didn't remember me, but no apology was ever made. And now she lost her job because of a bad breakup. Ended up staying at my parents' house for a while before going to a friend of hers' place. And she's been rejected from several jobs. She has a pending application where I work, and she asked me to put in a good word for her so she can get it. My brother and parents told me I should recommend her for the job, that I did it before for people and I should do it again for my nephew. But I can't work with her and see her for my nephew's sake. I don't want her in my life at all. And I can feel it already bothering more that she's part of our lives now because of my nephew. I love him. But if I could change who his mother was, I would in a heartbeat. I hate her for what she did to me, and I can never forgive and forget. I just try not to deal with her too much. So I said no. I told them I couldn't do it. Now everyone thinks I'm an a-hole, because my nephew has a mom with no job, which means less stability for him as she's been going through a few different places to live with friends. The fact is, my voice would hold some weight and she would likely get the job if I said something. Am I the a-hole for not? Not the a-hole. She's never stopped being toxic, and you aren't obligated to help her ruin your work environment. You'd end up quitting, or at best looking like an unreliable jerk. That said, unless your family's on a first-name basis with your management, maybe you should have lied. Or at least dissembled like, I'll do what I can. But they're looking for certain qualifications, so she shouldn't bank on it. Think about how you will look to the company after recommending someone and then having to put a harassment claim against them. Not an a-hole. 100% this. You don't need to risk your own professional reputation for someone that has displayed their own inability throughout multiple years and on multiple occasions to behave civilly. Edit. Obviously not the LOP. Your nephew's mother is having employment issues because she is irresponsible. This is a mess 100% of her own making. Yes, it would be easy on everyone else if you gave her a recommendation, but it creates other problems that only you have to deal with. First, you have to work with a toxic colleague. Second, when she messes up this job, you will look bad for having given her a recommendation. Your brother and parents have no right to put this on you. Tell them to get her a job and leave you out of it. Not at A-hole. When she messes up this job, you will look bad for having given her a recommendation. Ding ding ding! This right here. Opie, you said your voice would hold some weight. How do you think that would change if your nephew's mother messed up at this job? It doesn't seem like she ever stopped being a toxic person, so her messing up at some point seems rather likely. I wouldn't get involved if I were you. About your family, maybe act like you put in a good word for her but don't actually do it? Just an idea. I think in this situation it would be okay to lie in order to keep the peace. But your family ray-hauls for trying to guilt you into doing something you don't want to do, especially as it's something that would make you uncomfortable on a daily basis. Working with your former tormentor sounds like a nightmare, and you might face negative consequences at some point. Not a day-haul. You would be inviting your tormentor in your space. She has hurt you badly, and does not have the right to ask this from you. If they really want to, everyone else can help out, but you are in the clear. She didn't even apologize.